Oh, it has been too long. It has been far too long, but the senior mini-motos are finally back in 2025 and bringing with them all of the antics that we come to expect from the big people on little bikes. It's going to be crazy, crazy racing out there. Elbows out for certain as they make their way on their sighting lap. Let's have a run through the grid.
Yep, so in first place, topping the grid at the moment, we will have Matt Birkin starting in first. Following him in second will be Will Howarth. In third place, we will have Reece Gentry. Following him in fourth will be Chris Yeomans. In fifth place, we will have Nick Bennett. Following him in sixth will be David Myatt. In seventh, we have Andy Whedon. In eighth, Callum White. Ninth, Gary Eldridge. And 10th, Jerome Richards. In 11th, we have Steve Johns, and 12th, Peter Appleton. Rounding out our grid in 13th will be Rob Gentry. Something I think we should mention really quickly, though. Matt Birkin this weekend is racing with tonsillitis. He has been quite ill, we've heard, over the past week.
Absolutely, the reigning senior mini-motos champion. He's always one with a smile on his face, but he's feeling the pain today. Suffering from a bout of tonsillitis. Wasn't here Friday either, so he's turned up with no time on the track. With tonsillitis, still stuck in on pole, but only 7/100ths of a second ahead of Will Howarth on the number 96. This could be a real close battle between the pair of them. We know the racing in senior mini-motos is, well, shall we say chaotic at the best of times. 9 times out of 10, rules go out of the window. It is just pure chaos drama out on the racetrack. The riders making their way into the grid spot. Will it once again be a Birkin boy taking victory, with Matt Birkin, the reigning champion, looking to pick things up where he left them off in 2024? Or can Will Howarth cause a little bit of an upset on his return to the senior mini-motos? And can the number 96 get through from second place on the grid? It's a 13 bike field here, getting ready to be set underway by the flag marshal, Lee Clow. She points to the lights, and it'll be red lights on. It is red lights off, and we are underway. Great launch there by Will Howarth. Matt Birkin away slowly, and it will be the 96 that leads them through the opening few corners. Birkin already trying to fight back, looking for a way through, goes to the outside with the number 1 plate on the front of the bike, but he's down into P2 because it was a great launch away from the 96, and Will Howarth leads as they make their way round at the bottom end of the racetrack.
He does indeed. Everybody still grouped together quite closely currently. We have got a few gaps forming here and there, but up at the front, like you said, we have Will Howarth in first, and Matt Birkin follow him very close behindly in second, and Matt Birkin has just made the move to take first back from Will Howarth, and they're coming into the tight section of the track right now. Very, very tight, need to be very, very careful here. Will Howarth is going to try and make the move back, and he has took it once again from Matt Birkin. These two are playing a game of cat and mouse here with each other. Birkin back again through, or are they neck and neck? We will see what happens. Birkin has taken that lead back from Matt Howarth. Let's see what happens. Howarth has taken it again. Will Howarth is riding very, very on his tail of Matt Birkin. They are literally neck and neck. Birkin has seemed to have taken the lead back and is holding on to it for now, but Will Howarth is not letting him go anytime soon.
Oh man, I've missed this. Will Howarth sits Matt Birkin up, and Birkin responds by just diving into a gap that barely existed, and then half a lap of side-by-side action. Oh man, this is brilliant in the senior mini-motos, as it always is and as it always will be. I'm sure Matt's brother Josh sat at home wondering why he can't be here yet again. Come on Josh, sort your stuff out, give your brother a challenge like Will is here today, at least as they come to make it. 7 laps left to run. It is Matt Birkin from Will Howarth, from Reece Gentry, your top 3. Nick Bennett holding on to P4 at the moment, and P5 will be Chris Yeomans as they make their way down through into the second chicane. We can see there's some action in the background. That's P4, Nick Bennett leading that little train there. Just behind him, Chris Yeomans, David Myatt, and Andy Whedon there as well. David Myatt, of course, the vice champion from last year, actually missed the opening round at Lid. Wasn't able to make it, unfortunately, but some very, very strong results, including a huge stretch at Rowra at that double round weekend. 5 wins out of 6. He was absolutely on it. Unfortunately, wasn't quite enough to get to the eventual champion Birkin. He currently in P6 on the number 22 machine. And further back still, lots of action going on. The likes of Callum White, the Birkin's cousin, of course, on the 3-2-2, Gary Eldridge, Steve Johns, all fighting ferociously for places. I mean, it's senior mini-motos, it's pure chaos, it's elbows out. If there's a gap, I'm going for it racing. It is so fast, so chaotic, and it is so fun.
That's the point of racing, isn't it, though, Ross? You've got to find that gap, and if you see one, you take it. Out in front right now, we still do have Matt Birkin leading from Will Howarth. However, he has just set the fastest lap of 55.299, but Birkin isn't going to let this lead go. These two have been in a close battle since this race has started, and it doesn't look like it's going to end any time soon. Will is staying right on the tail of Matt. He doesn't want to let this first place go, especially at this first race of the season. Our top 10 currently stands at Matt Birkin in first, Will Howarth in second, Rhys Gentry in third, Nick Bennett in fourth, Chris Yeomans in fifth. In sixth we have David Meyer. In seventh we have Andy Whedon. Eighth Callum White. 9th, Gary Eldridge, and 10th, Steve Johns. Let's just have a look what's happening out front still. Matt Birkin is holding on to that lead over Will Howarth, but these two are going to keep fighting until the end, I reckon, Ross.
Absolutely. 5 mil, like 4.5 laps left to go, and Birkin and Howarth couldn't fit a cigarette paper between the pair of them. Howarth looks to the inside, but Birkin slams the door. And the 96 will have to reset, refocus, regroup, and go again. Maybe a move to the inside as they come to the infield section. No, too far back to have a dive on the brakes. And that just gives Matt Birkin a little bit of breathing room up the front of the pack. Again, racing ill this weekend. He won't be at his full strength, but he's still going to be out there fighting as hard as he can. Actually runs a little bit deep coming into the final corner, but was just about able to get away with it. Howarth was not close enough to punish him on that occasion, but the number 1 and the number 96 so close once again, side by side. Still Matt Birkin leads though. He's super brake, just closing the door and sweeping around the outside. It just shows how well these two riders know each other. They've been racing against each other for years, and it's ultimate respect, even though they're fierce rivals out on track, and they know they can pull off ludicrous moves like that and get away with it because they know what each other are going to do.
If you're liking the look of this and would like to get yourself involved with Fab Racing, do have a look online and see on the website what it is you need to do to get involved. Let's have a look at towards the back of the pack here. Number 85 is just sat there for a little bit, which is Chris Yeomans in 5th. So here we've got our battle going on for 3rd place. Out in front is Gentry at the moment, Bennett in 4th, and Yeomans in 5th. Yeomans is going to try and make that move on Bennett to take 4th place, but it seems to be very hard for him right now. Here we go, and the racing is still going on right now. The back of the pack are staying very close together compared to those two out front. They have took quite a gap on everyone else right now and are just focused on fighting for 1st place together.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Bennett holding on for dear life in P4 though. The 711, a staple fixture of the senior mini moto grid. I can't tell you the last time he missed a race, to be quite brutally honest with you. He's seemingly here every weekend, always riding in strong positions, but always on the defensive end for some reason. He always seems to be holding people back rather than chasing people, but he's doing a great job of that now. But the back of the bike twitches, somehow stays on 2 wheels, but that does allow the 85 of Chris Yeomans to slide through. David Meyer, the reigning vice champion, also goes through. Just looked like he lost the rear coming into the corner. They somehow collected the bike and stayed on. Scary moment for the 711. He drops down to P7 as a result. Yeomans, Meyer and Whedon all getting promoted. And with 1.5 laps left to go, Birkin still leads Will Howarth.
Yeah, like you just said, 1.5 laps to go. We are about to start this first lap, and these two staying ever so tightly close together. Birkin is holding on to that 1st place. They are just coming into the infield section of the circuit now, which gives Birkin that chance just to breathe a little bit, but Will isn't letting him go easy. Will Howarth is making a move, and no, he doesn't manage to make it. Birkin is holding on to that 1st place as we start the final lap of this race. Matt Birkin in 1st place with Will Howarth in 2nd, Rhys Gentry in 3rd. Birkin out front, holding on to that gap he's got over Will Howarth, but it is very, very small. And Will, this is the last lap. This is his chance to take that first place back from Birkin. But Birkin has got a gap building on Howarth now. Let's see what happens as we finish this lap of racing. Birkin holding on. Howarth is ever so close on his tail. Cat and mouse game between these two, as it has been for the whole entire race. Birkin and holding on to that lead as best as he can, and here we are coming into the infield section of this circuit. He is holding on to that lead for dear life. Howarth isn't going to let him do that though, and he's going to try and make the move, but he doesn't manage to get it. Matt Birkin holding on in first place. Birkin takes it and wins this race with Will Howarth took it just at the last second from him. That was the closest race between those two at all, and Howarth took it just in that last second, with second place going to Matt Birkin, third place going to Rhys Gentry.
Welcome back to Senior Mini Moto Racing. 13 thousandths of a second separating them at the line. Will Howarth left it to the death and nicks it and takes the opening race of the season after a titanic tussle with Matt Birkin. Unbelievable stuff there. It is the 96 on his return to Senior Mini Motos. Will Howarth takes the win. Look at the gap between himself and Matt Birkin in second place as Rhys Gentry rounds out the podium on the 100. Chris Yeomans comes home in fourth place. David Myatt was P5 with Andy Weeder in sixth. Nick Bennett, after collecting that almost crash earlier on, he comes home in seventh with Callum White in P8, Gary Eldridge in ninth, and Steve Johns in P10. But goodness me, man oh man, Will Howarth, that is the way to kickstart a season, as he's somehow broken down on the way back to the pit lane. These mini motos can be temperamental at the best of times, but that's the perfect time to give up, because if it had been a lap earlier, then we wouldn't have been robbed of that fantastic finish.
What a race that was between them two. They were neck and neck right until the very end, and Will just took it from him right at that last second. That was crazy. Absolute madness from the two of them here. And maybe he's broken down, because it looks like he's having to very much struggle to get that bike to the podium.
I don't think they actually know who won there either, because Matt Birkin hasn't pulled into position behind the winning boards, and they're sat there and you can see them asking at the side of the track to someone in the paddock who won the race. And there we see as well Chris Yeomans, he's getting involved in the conversation. Again, Will Howarth is showing up as a DNF after he came to a stop on the in-lap, but it was Will Howarth who took the checkered flag in P1, with Matt Birkin second, Rhys Gentry in P3. Man, oh man, what a race. I think Matt Birkin's just realised that he's second place. 2 more races to come tomorrow.
Coming up now, we will be having the Senior Mini Moto Race. They are just coming out now to complete that outlap and come back to the grid. Let's just do a quick rundown for you of who we have got joining us in this second race today. On pole position, we will have Matt Birkin. Following him in second will be Will Howarth. In third place, we will have Rhys Gentry. And then in fourth place, Chris Yeomans. In fifth place, we have Nick Bennett. And in sixth, we have David Myatt. On our fourth row, we will have Andy Weeden in seventh and Callum White starting 8th position. Fifth row in ninth, we will have Gary Eldridge, and following him in 10th is Jerome Richards. On our sixth row is Steve Johns in 11th and Peter Appleton in 12th. And on our seventh and final row, starting 13th for this second race today, is Rob Gentry.
Matt Birkin, of course, as we mentioned yesterday, racing with tonsillitis this weekend. He said he's very uncomfortable at the best of times, struggling to sleep, unfortunately for him, but still getting out there on the bike and showing us some of that Birkin magic that we all know so well and all love. But Will Howarth is giving him a tough test out there. And of course, we can't factor out the likes of Rhys Gentry, of Nick Bennett, of your vice champion from last year, David Myatt, as well. All of them fierce competitors. I mean, the Senior Minimoto guys, they're all great friends. There's a real community within this series, let alone within the whole Fab Racing paddock. But these guys especially, they all camp together, they all hang out together. But the second the visors go down, it is just elbows out, pure racing. And these boys, well, they like to put on a bit of a show for us. There we see the 711 of Nick Bennett. Bit of a slow sighting lap to the grid for him, but he does now slide into position on the grid as Flag Marshal Lee Clowes now wearing shorts. She's done away with the leggings, getting too hot here. Time to go racing for race number 2 of the Senior Minimotos. It is lights out, we are underway. Good reaction there from Will Howarth. Matt Birkin slow away once again and almost drops the front end of the bike in turn number 1. Also looks like Rhys Gentry was able to slide through, and Birkin now facing real pressure. He may drop off of the podium as Nick Bennett tries to get through on the 711. Somehow, Marc Marquez-esque save stays on the bike, but it will be Will Howarth that leads up the front of this pack.
It will be indeed a tough start there for Matt Birkin, losing the bike ever so slightly, which lost him those couple of spaces. Will Howarth, however, has had a brilliant start to this race and he's making his way out in the lead of this race. There we have Matt Birkin following behind the number 100 of Rhys Gentry. Rhys Gentry just managed to get past him at the start of this race. We've got 9 laps left to go and it is in for an interesting one.
We saw yesterday as well Matt Birkin have a tricky getaway at the line. Of course, he was able to lead most of the race until Will Howarth pipped him in a drag race by 13 thousandths of a second. They weren't actually sure who won between the pair of them. This time, Matt Birkin maybe has a bit of work to do as they make their way into the second chicane before reaching the big hairpin down the bottom of the track, and that is problems there for one of the riders. Hopefully everyone is okay. We're waiting to confirm for you who that is, as Birkin now has got through Rhys Gentry. Gentry will have the inside on the 100 though, but Birkin, the reigning champion, slams the door shut up to second place, now chasing down his old rival, the 96 of Will Howarth.
Indeed, he is. Will Howarth out in front though, a 2-second difference gap ahead of everybody else. He's going to get himself into a comfortable pace to keep going in this race, but Birkin will not let him go that easily. No, he has got that second place back off Rhys Gentry. He will be hunting Will Howarth down as best as he can. We've got 7 laps left to go here at Lid Circuit in this second race of the Senior Minimoto. There we see a gap opening up between Matt Birkin and Rhys Gentry. He's holding on to that second place, ready to go hunt down his opponent, Will Howarth.
Absolutely. Howarth, though, setting fastest lap after fastest lap. 54.944 was his lap time on the previous tour. Almost broke his lap record from 2021 of 54.923. So getting very, very close to lap record pace here. And meanwhile, Matt Birkin as well, a 3-second gap back and still under pressure from Rhys Gentry. It looks like it was Jerome Richards on the 88 that we lost earlier on. This is Chris Yeomans in P5 on the number 85. He's leading David Meyer, Andy Whedon, and Callum White, the other Birkin boy out there this weekend, as they push their way through the infield section and come down to the final corner. Still very, very fast racing going on even further back in the pack. 6 laps left to go. Will Yeomans be able to hold on? David Meyer, of course, very, very racy. As actually Yeomans has actually got through Nick Bennett now for P4, so Bennett may be struggling. Chris Yeomans looking really quick on that 85.
He is indeed. We've got Chris Yeomans in 4th place at the moment. Nick Bennett has just dropped behind him in to 5th. He is going to hunt him back down though to take that 4th place. These guys are all bunched together up quite massively here, but Chris Yeomans is getting that gap building, taking that 4th place, holding on to it as best as he can. We've got a bit of a battle going on for 5th now here though, between the number 711 of Nick Bennett and the number 22 of David Meyer. Has he done it? He has just gone through on Nick Bennett to take that 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Yeomans, of course, the everlasting nearly man, unfortunately, of Senior Minimotos. Constantly good results. Is that Matt Birkin stopped to the side of the racetrack? Indeed it is. The reigning champion from 2nd place, the pole sitter, potentially down and out. He's able to get going again. Was that a bike issue or did he come off the bike? The chain is still on, so everything looks okay, but what has happened? for the reigning champion. That will promote Rhys Gentry up to second. That will promote the nearly man Chris Yeomans up to third as Nick Bennett drops another position. That's Andy Whedon going on past now. I was just about to say that Chris Yeomans is always the nearly man. Only had one podium last year, but consistent fourth and fifth place finishes. Well, race number 2 could be on for a podium straight away in 2025.
He will be really happy with that if that happens. We've got 5 laps left to go here at Lydd in this race 2 of the senior mini motor. We've got Will Howarth out in front. Following him in second place is Rhys Gentry. It was, however, Matt Birkin, but he did appear to have an issue with his bike and he is now not there at the moment. Here we can see number 85 coming past your screen of Chris Yeomans in that third place. He will be very pleased if he can hold on to that. He is being hunted down by David Myatt, though. They all know there is a chance now for them to get that podium position and they aren't going to give it up easily.
Absolutely not. He's going to keep pushing and keep defending as if his life depends on it. And David Myatt, of course, vice champion last year. A whole host of race wins to his name. He is certainly a quick rider, and it will be difficult for Yeomans to keep him behind. He'll have to pull out some defensive genius to hold on to that podium place. Oh, that's Rhys Gentry. The number 100 now facing issues as well. We know that these mini moto machines can be temperamental at the best of times, but that's 2 riders now who are running in second place, facing problems. Now we see in this battle for third, which has now become a battle for second. So David Myatt, the 22 moves up into second place with 3 laps to go. Chris Yeomans still in third somehow, even though he's just lost a position as a result of Rhys Gentry's issues. It's almost like there's a curse here in race number 2.
It is appearing that way, Ross. We have had 2 riders now who were in second facing issues. It was Matt Birkin and then it was just Rhys Gentry. Rob Gentry has stopped on the side of the track. Also, it seems all of them are going to face issues today. We have lost 3 so far, all having issues within this race. We've got just 3 laps left to go here at Lydd, and what an interesting race it has been so far for these guys. Currently holding on to that first place, though, and has got a brilliant lead ahead of everyone else is Will Howarth.
Absolutely, the Gentry boys encountering issues out there in race number 2 today. But with 2 laps to go, Will Howarth, well, he can cruise home on this one. Again, a great start from the number 96. And he wasn't too far ahead, and then everyone behind him just had issues, and he has been running supremely well. That number 96 looking lovely out there on the track, so a nice and easy bring-it-home job for him in race number 2. David Myatt currently second, Chris Yeomans holding on to third, but Myatt, Yeomans and Andy Whedon, they're all fighting, they're all scrapping together out on the racetrack, so there could be positional changes in the final few podium places. We'll continue to follow around, coming through the final corner to start the final lap of the race. It's the blonde bombshell, the home county's hero, the number 96 of Will Howarth, Mr. Moto Team, I guess, if you want to call him that, given how much he dominates there. He's on for a dominant win in race 2 of the senior mini motos.
He is indeed, and we are on the final lap now. He will be very pleased to be taking this first place again after winning yesterday's race. Also, we have got up in first place Will Howarth. Following him in second is David Myatt. Third, Chris Yeomans. We've had a very interesting race for these guys in race 2 of the senior mini moto, with quite a few facing some issues, leading to a very interesting podium we have got for us. Here is Will Howarth now coming into that tight infield section of the race. Here it is, he's coming round into that final corner now of race 2, and it will be Will Howarth who will take that checkered flag and is taking home first place once again here at Lydd. What a brilliant race it has been.
Fantastic ride from Will Howarth. Yes, others encountered issues, but he still had to go out there and get the job done. This is the battle for second place. Looks like it will be David Myatt holding on there. Can Andy Whedon get in front of Chris Yeomans? No, he cannot. After one podium the entire season last year, it will be Chris Yeomans in only the second race of 2025 who takes that podium place. A very, very entertaining race filled with mechanical drama for you there. Will Howarth dominates by 17.5 seconds after all his close rivals drop out of the race. David Myatt and Chris Yeomans rounding out the podium with Andy Weeder a close P4. Callum White was P5 with Nick Bennett in P6. Gary Eldridge was 7th with Steve Johns in P8. Matt Birkin did recover and get back on the bike to finish P9. And Peter Appleton was in P10 at the end of the race. So that'll be your top 10 there. And of course, they'll be back out for another race a little bit later on as we'll go in to see the podium places. And the few riders just making their way back home now. Again, 3 DNFs in that one in Reese and Rob Gentry, and also Jerome Richards on the number 88. The riders will make their way into the podium places, but they've apparently stopped back there for some reason. So I'm not entirely sure what they're actually doing out there. The 85, the 96 and the 22 of David Myatt, your podium finishes there in race number 2 of the Senior Mini Motos. Thank you very much for tuning in here at the Mastermac Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championship. Of course, plenty more action coming your way today.
And now we have got our third and final race for the Senior Mini Moto Racing here at Lydd. Brilliant weekend so far we have seen from these guys. Yesterday we saw a tight battle between Will Howarth and Matt Birkin for that first place. Today Matt Birkin seemed to be doing well, however he struggled, had some issues with his bike and dropped down in the running order. They are getting ready now to start their last outlap of the day, and let's see what happens. Let's run through our grid. Matt Birkin is starting from pole position. In second place we will see Will Howarth. Third place Reese Gentry, and in fourth place we have Chris Yeomans. Fifth place starting today we have Nick Bennett and David Myatt starting from 6th. 7th we have Andy Weeden, and in 8th we have Callum White. 9th we have Gary Eldridge, and in 10th we have Jerome Richards. 11th Steve Johns, and 12th we have Peter Appleton. Starting our 7th and final row of this race in 13th position is Rob Gentry. Like I was just saying, we've had a brilliant weekend of racing from these gentlemen here. Yesterday we saw Will Howarth take first place in the first race, followed closely in second place by Matt Birkin. A brilliant battle we saw between these guys yesterday. Today, however, Matt Birkin did just struggle, but Will Howarth continued his domination during the race earlier this morning. Brilliant to see from all of the guys racing here with us this weekend in Lydd. Let's see what happens throughout this third and final race. They are just doing their outlap now, ready to form the grid. If you've just tuned in with us, let us know where you were watching from, how you're feeling about this weekend at Lydd, who your favourite riders are, and what you're most looking forward to across this season. Here we go. We can see Will Howarth has just made his way to the grid for this race start. Third and final race. Let's see what happens. Is going to be an absolute brilliant one, I reckon.
Yeah, it should be very, very exciting. Of course, Will Howarth on for the most unlikely of sweeps after ding-dongs with Matt Birkin in race number 1. He took victory by 13 thousandths of a second. Then race number 2, Birkin, a disappointing start. The mechanical failures meant the 96 could just cruise on home. Somehow, after coming back to Senior Mini Motos this weekend, the number 96 could be about to claim all 3 race wins. Just waiting for the go-ahead from race control before we get racing for the final time this weekend in the Senior Mini Motos. Red lights come on. It is lights out and we are underway. Better start this time from Matt Birkin, but still Will Howarth will take the lead into turn 1. There's a crash there in the background that looked like Nick Bennett tumbling over and over into turn 1, and indeed it was the 711. Not sure what happened, if he was caught up, if there was contact, but that could be race over for Nick Bennett before it even truly gets started. Down though, coming through the hairpin at the bottom end of the circuit, it's Howarth from Matt Birkin. Reese Gentry in P3. Chris Yeomans though is very close behind.
He is indeed. A brilliant start that was again for Will Howarth, and for Matt Birkin this time he is holding on quite well, let's say. And that is, I believe, the retirement of 711 Nick Bennett. That is his weekend over here at Lydd. He's done very well so far and he'll be very disappointed. But let's see what happens as we come around the final corner of this first lap here at Lydd. Let's see who is leading. Will Howarth takes first place currently. Second place, we have Matt Birkin.
Yeah, looking much stronger in the opening of race 3 than it was in race 2 for Matt Birkin as they all file their way through the second chicane. Can Birkin, after losing that pole spot once again to Will Howarth away from the line, can he close up to the number 96 and prevent a clean sweep of the weekend? We'll have to wait and see. Flying their way through the S's now. Look at them all like synchronized swimmers through that part of the racetrack, making their way on to the back straight. There you see the 22 of David Myatt just ahead of Andy Weeder. Myatt, of course, the vice champion from last year, currently sitting in P4 just outside of the podium places, but maybe looking for a move on a or Chris Yeoman, should I say, in front of him in P4.
Yeah, exactly. Will Howarth absolutely dominating this race again. Let's see what happens here in those battles for that third and final podium place. Currently holding third place is Rhys Gentry on the number 100, but it looks like the 85 of Chris Yeomans is gaining on him and will get a hold of him to try and take that third position. But Yeomans has to defend for his fourth position. He has got David Meyer on the number 22 hot on his tail in fifth position, currently wanting to take that fourth place from him. Out in front though, we have Will Howarth on that 96, followed closely by Matt Birkin in second place. Birkin this weekend has put on a brilliant performance considering he came into this weekend suffering from tonsillitis.
Yeah, and still suffering a little bit as well, maybe just taking away from a bit of that Birkin magic, that Birkin charm that we all know so well. But of course, the number 1 plate on the front of that Mini Moto, he is also the reigning champion. He is a fine rider indeed. And when he turns it on, it is truly, truly magical to watch him fly out there on the track. The 85 of Yeomans holding off Meyer and Weeder behind well at the moment. This is a battle we've seen all weekend long. These three apparently inseparable when you put them out on the track together. It's like they're a set of magnets or something. Honestly, here to the inside goes David Meyer, but Yeoman slams the door in his face. Meyer will have to rest, regroup, recover, and go once again as he loses out time as a result of having to sit the bike back up. Great defending there from Chris Yeomans. Knew exactly what Meyer was going to do and knew exactly how to stop him from going through.
Yeah, but Meyer is under pressure still from Andy Weeden behind him in sixth place. He's hot on the tail of Chris Yeomans is David Meyer, but he's also got someone following him very closely behind. We need to wait and see what will happen here. David Meyer wants to do everything he can to take that position away from Chris Yeomans. Running comfortably in third place at the moment, we do have Rhys Gentry though. Chris Yeomans still holding on to that fourth position. He does not want to let David Meyer pass as much as Meyer is trying to find the gap to do so. We have got 5 laps left to go here. Meyer trying to make the move on the inside, but it still does not happen. Chris Yeomans slams the door in his face, once again holding on to that fourth position.
Maybe Meyer needs to rethink his strategy, rethink where he could go through. Is this an opportunity for the 22? Not quite on this occasion. I think he just needs to take a step back, watch the 85 in front, see where he's going, where he's better, and then he can rethink about where he needs to set up the move, where he can attack. Once again, he's poking wheels to the inside, but just nothing he can do to get through on that 85 at the moment. It looks like Yeoman's defense is solid, and solid enough to keep behind the vice champion of 2024. 4 laps left to go in this one. Will Howarth's gap extending out to 3.5 seconds now, so Matt Birkin really needs to dig deep if he wants to stop the clean sweep from the 96 this weekend. Rhys Gentry, he's in a bit of no man's land in third place at the moment. And this battle for fourth place, it rages on. Weeden in P6, watching Meyer and Yeomans fight it out, hoping maybe they'll crash into each other so he can get 2 free positions.
Definitely, he's most definitely hoping for that. He hasn't quite managed to find it to get past David Myatt yet, but he will be watching these two closely, because any issue between these two in that battle, he will make the most advantage of. Will Howarth still running comfortably out in front on the number 96. He is currently got a 3.7 second gap ahead of Matt Birkin. Matt Birkin is going to want to do everything he can, pull the most out of his bike to try and catch up to Will Howarth. Right now, let's just have a look at Rhys Gentry running in third. Rhys has had a brilliant weekend this weekend, and he's just holding on to that third position comfortably. He is absolutely brilliant, running the third place currently in the championship. What a weekend it has been for him.
Yeah, Rhys Gentry, been around for a long time here in senior mini motos, and a fantastic rider, it must be said. Looking forward to pick up a very comfortable podium, but a podium nonetheless. The number 100 machine doing a fantastic job out there this weekend overall. Will Howarth makes it 2 laps left to run, then Gentry will be heading on to his penultimate lap in just a few short moments, doing a fantastic job out there at the moment. And still, this battle rages on, but this time, David Myatt's made it through somehow, somewhere out there at the Lidcar circuit. The 22 is slid by the 85. How does Chris Yeomans respond? Can he get back through? Or is that position David Myatt's the keep for the end of the race?
I think Yeomans is going to do everything he can to try and get that position back from David Myatt, but Myatt has got a hold on it, and he's going to try and build up a gap between him and Yeomans. It has been an interesting battle between them this race. Very close together, but Myatt has got that fourth position as he's holding on to it for dear life. Very impressive to see from him there. And here we go. Will Howarth starting the last lap of the senior mini moto race here at Lyd Circuit. He has been an absolute show star this weekend, dominating in the races we have seen. A brilliant weekend for him, and it'll be interesting to see what he does this season.
Absolutely. Will Howarth returning to the senior mini motos this season, the blonde bombshell, the home county's hero. It wasn't looking like he was going to clean sweep the weekend, but sometimes Lady Luck just shines in your direction. Problems, yes, for other riders. Matt Birkin struggling with illness, struggling with reliability. The likes of Rhys Gentry, David Myatt not quite having the pace that they normally do. But it doesn't matter, because Will Howarth opens 2025 with a stamp of authority. The 96 sweeps the weekend here at Lyd and opens 2025 with a bang. It's all 3 race wins for Will Howarth, and what a way to do it. Beating Matt Birkin by 12.5 seconds. The reigning champion just didn't have an answer as we open up the 2025 Mastermark Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championship season. As Rhys Gentry rounds out the podium, it's Will Howarth who will be celebrating tonight. 3 wins out of 3 for the number 96 as Birkin and Gentry round out the podium. Chris Yeomans managed to get back through David Myatt into P4, as did Andy Weeder for P5. David Myatt was in P6 overall. Callum White ended up in P7 with Gary Eldridge in P8. Jerome Richards was 9th. Steve Johns in 10th place. Of course, unfortunately, we did lose Nick Bennett before he even got to turn 1. The 711, well, that's probably the most disappointing way to end a race ever before you even reach the first corner.
Yeah, I can imagine it was for him, and he has done quite well so far this weekend, has Nick Bennett. You know he will be devastated with what has just happened for him, but it was brilliant to see how everybody else handled that race. Will Howarth holding his domination, coming in to have his position behind number 1 pole.
Yeah, Matt Birkin and Will Howarth sharing a laugh, as to be expected. They are fierce rivals on the track, should I say, but fierce friends off of it. And I don't think that Matt Birkin can just quite believe the pace that Howarth has had this weekend. He has just been unstoppable outside of race number 1, where Birkin gave him a good go. Race 2 and race 3, it's all been about that number 96 machine.